What's good, y'all? It's Drew here, back with another video. Today, we have another special guest, so why don't you introduce yourself, bro?
What's up? Happy to be here on the channel. For all those that don't know, I am Broken Ronin. I talk about a lot of different anime and manga, but as you may be able to guess, based on the topic that we're going to be covering, I really like and, kind of hone in on Jujutsu Kaisen content quite a bit.
Yes, sir. So obviously, I feel like if you're on my channel, you've seen Broken Ronin's channel, but if you haven't, obviously subscribe. So we're just gonna talk about JJK today, specifically like the Culling games, because if y'all read JJK at all, like that joint is happening. It's been happening for a minute, but like it's really happening now. So I guess we can kind of start off. I guess a good way to start off would be like, because so I guess we can discuss this because this was on Twitter too. Because a lot of people, myself included, like we basically caught up with JJK around when like not the Maki fight, but like I'm saying around that area. So all this Culling game, build up. A lot of people have felt like have been saying like JJK not falling off, but they didn't feel the same hype as they did earlier. You know what I'm saying, with like the Gojo arc and the shibuya. So like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I remember you had some back and forth with some people on that.
Yeah. So I want to say this just right out the gate. I don't really care if you like Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, for me, if people like it, that doesn't really impact my own personal enjoyment. Whether or not you ever like JJK is not really any of like my like doesn't annoy me or anything. So this doesn't come from like a place of like anger or emotion. I just look at it like this, right? If you expect or desire a series to go from one huge arc to another huge arc, to another huge arc, absolutely no build-up, no character building, no stake building, no world building, no idea of what the rules are, you're going to go into those arcs confused. In fact, the reason that I personally am not so much annoyed as I am confused as to this sort of like dialogue surrounding JJK falling off or like JJK going too slow now is not but like a month or two ago, maybe like around the Maki, like the Zenin clan arc area, people were saying that JJK is going too fast. Hakari doesn't know how to pace his manga correctly. He kills off characters left and right. And like, I disagree with both, right? I don't think he's pacing it too slow now. I don't think he was pacing it too fast back then. Yeah. I think there's times where you need to go fast paced and there's times where you need to hit the brakes, slow it down, and let the audience kind of recuperate from what just happened. And I just feel it's a little bit weird for... It seems like, to me at least, it's the same group of people, right? First, he's going way too fast. He's not building up characters enough. It's too much. We can't go from Shibuya to Culling games without any build-up. And now, as soon as we get that build-up, as soon as we get these chapters characterizing everybody in the Culling games, giving us the rules, necessary things, mind you, because if we don't get a chapter or two of exposition or dialogue or things surrounding it, we are going to be confused when these characters start implementing, like, 4-step or 4-layer, 5-layer, 6-layer plans and schemes in order to use these rules to their advantage, right? We know Akutami loves to do this in his fights. Yeah. And me personally, I'd rather understand the rules so that when I see a character skirt by them, like by the edge of their seat or do something extremely cool based on their knowledge of the rules, I get why, right? There are some series that are much looser in their kind of like power system or things like that, where it allows for a lot more options, but to me personally, it allows for things that feel like assholes. Like, they're not necessarily like things that couldn't happen in the series, but they just feel a little weird. Yeah,
right? Like not enough build up and stuff. Yeah. My fault.
Yeah. No, you're good. I just like the grounded stuff. I feel it personally. It's fine if you don't like this as much as like the peak of Shibuya. Yeah. I don't like it as much as the peak of Shibuya either. It was the peak of an arc built up to for hundreds of chapters though. Or not hundreds, but like 100 or so chapters, right? Yeah. Like the Mahito versus Yuji fight had 130 chapters of build-up. You don't just get that level of impact, of hype, of quality without the necessary characterization, the build-up, the sense of dread or whatever. And I feel like people are forgetting that because we're actually in the moment now. To me, I think the Culling games is setting up for another Shibuya level, like quality of arc, if not bigger in terms of its impact on the narrative and everything within the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. But I think Akutami has to set it up properly, and if you're not okay with that, that's fine. But I just don't think it's a flaw in how the story is written first.
Yeah, and I can kind of agree with it. I don't want to like bring up too many other anime, but like another anime that another manga I was reading that I kind of felt the same way was Tokyo Revengers, where I caught up. It's not really important where, but like right before like the final arc, basically. And then once you're reading the final arc, you're like, dang, this is so much slower. But you forget that like you like, for instance, JJK, I think I must have read that in like 2 or 3 days. You know what I'm saying? That's a big difference from now. You got to wait week to week to week. So now you're just saying, oh, it's like so much slower. That's the kind of whole thing with that. But yeah, I do agree with the Culling games because like, from what I understand and like what's happening and stuff, it seems like the Culling games is about to go crazy. Like I feel like the Culling games, just looking at all the top tiers that get brought up, you know what I'm saying? We know all the people like Yuta, Maki, you know, people on our side that we are familiar with. And then we got all these people that are getting introduced now, like Hakari and stuff. Like this, I think it could easily be like the best arc in JJK, at least in my opinion. Just with all the like the people that are, it looks like it's gonna collide. Like Gojo might even come back, potentially. So it just, a lot of stuff is just, in my opinion, it just seems like everything is like being built up for a big collision of sorts. That's kind of where I feel with the Culling games, or at least the like that stuff.
I agree 100%. I do feel like it's kind of, it's weird because I won't say haters. I'm just gonna say haters because I can't think of another word. I'm not saying if you have these criticisms, you're a literal hater. I'm just using it because I can't find it.
Like the retorts or something. Yeah.
The JJK quote-unquote haters are kind of like split down the middle, and it's so weird to address them because on one hand you'll have it's going too slow, hurry up and get to the good stuff, right? I already addressed them. But on the other end you have what is happening, I'm so confused, JJK fell off because my favorite character hasn't been in the last few chapters. And it's very strange to me because it's like they'll say that they don't understand like the Culling games, or Akutami fails to explain it, and like, does he sometimes get convoluted with his explanations? Like, I can think of 2 instances, right? Projection sorcery, at least the first explanation was pretty convoluted. Like, you can understand it if you reread it, and I understand it because I've reread it. But I will say, like, full out, on the first read, it's a convoluted technique that is a little bit hard to understand. And the second one is Kirara's technique with like the constellation and things. I still need to go through a reread of that chapter to like fully grasp it. But like, here's the thing: if you're saying like these 2 techniques, not even like it wasn't even full chapters dedicated to it. It was 2 techniques, like probably 3 pages dedicated to explaining the technique. And you're saying like he fails to explain things as a whole. I just think that's a little bit weird. I think that's blowing things a little bit out of proportion. And I also think it's ignoring the fact that one, projection sorcery gets explained much better later on in the series, kind of in the Naoya versus Maki fight. We get a kind of a re-explanation of it, and it can be understood if you're willing to put in a little bit more extra effort and reread, or go back over and just look at what he said, right? Sometimes convoluted, but I don't think it's overall that confusing if you're invested. If you're much more casual, it's fine, but don't be surprised if you look at it from a casual perspective and you only understand more of the quote meathead things, or much more of the fights and the action. Right?
For sure.
I don't think you can play both. If you're going to look at it from casual, that's fine. That's okay. You don't have to be a hardcore JJK fan. I don't care. But don't be confused when things that are there, for like, more hardcore, more like kind of in-depth JJK fans to dig into, we're able to understand or comprehend certain things, and you're not. It's because we're willing to really take our time with reading a chapter, or go back and reread it, or things like that, right? That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. So like, now that we got like the more, I guess, because that was something I want to tackle first, because I feel like I've seen a lot of pushback on the Culling games, or at least, I'd say like this last arc, which is Culling games. So now that we talk about that, what are you most excited for, or most excited to see amongst the Culling games? So like, basically the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is kind of the beauty of the Culling games for me.
Yeah.
There's so much to be excited about, right? Any character that we, as the audience, know about is someone that I think you can be hyped about. If you're a Choso fan, why is he with, like, what is going on back with Master Tengen, right?
Yeah.
What is going on with Yuji? What's going on with Megumi? And Kenjaku, he's a big one. I'm really excited for him because I feel like this arc can turn him into from a good villain that I kind of enjoy, has this sense of like danger, to a great one. So like a top tier shonen villain.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think he has that set up. To me, you can tell the Bleach inspiration is there.
Yeah, with the Aizen, I think.
Yep. And I don't think Akutami should go in the same route, but I think if the trajectory of quality is the same, I'm going to be very impressed with how Akutami writes Kenjaku, because I had a similar thing. Build up, reveal, and then he just exploded in terms of like how cool he was and things like that. But the character I'm personally most excited for, out of all of the cool things that I know we're gonna see in the Culling games, is Megumi. One, because he's my favorite character.
Yes, sir.
And two, because I feel like he has the most room for growth in terms of character and in terms of power. I think if he masters or is able to tame Mahoraga, he's gonna be a problem. If he's able to master domain expansions, he's gonna be a problem. And I feel like if he comes up across, I think it's Hirugama, I may be pronouncing that wrong, but some people may know him as like the judge guy that we got a really cool chapter on.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
I think they're gonna clash in a very cool way. Like both of their ideals on judgment and things like that, what is justice or morality and things like that, I think they're going to come together in a way that is very interesting. I'm very excited to see that from both a character standpoint and from a power standpoint. I really think he's going to evolve on both ends, and seeing that is going to be fire. But there's so much to be excited about.
Yeah. So like with me in the Culling games, I'm really excited to see. Obviously, Yuji, despite he's a pretty good main character, I'd say, but like the people I'm really excited to see, I want to see more Yuta, because I just find Yuta, he's just kind of that guy. Obviously, I mean Gojo's stealing stuff, but really Maki, like obviously I always thought Maki was like a really good character, down to like when she like it was the first tournament arc when she basically dropped off her sister with the with the whole gun and that whole scene.
Yeah. That was pretty dope.
That was dope. And I was okay, she's she's decent. I was looking at her, she's cool. And then obviously everyone should know about like the Zenin massacre. Like people always compare it to like the Uchiha massacre if you see Naruto, and like it's really like 50 times worse, bro. Like it's kind of insane
so
what she
much
does.
Different.
It's
portrayed to be so much. Like I don't want to compare because people will think like, oh, this is better.
Yeah,
better. They're better than each other in different reasons. I feel. Like if you're looking for the portrayal of the slaughter to be much more visceral, Maki's is just gonna be better.
Yes,
because he shows it, right? But obviously Naruto wasn't meant to show that.
Yeah,
it wasn't like the massacre wasn't meant to be shown in that nature, right? It's more meant to show like Sasuke, right? But this massacre gets, real up in it, right? We see Maki really get crazy in this fight, and it's super cool to see.
Yeah, like that was when I was looking at Maki. I'm like, we talk about shonen, like women shonen characters, women shonen characters. She was already top tier to me, but like after that, I'm like, she could be really, really top tier. So obviously seeing her do that stuff, that was crazy. Obviously I want to see more Yuji because Yuji's the MC. He has the cool dynamic with Sukuna. So I'm looking forward to seeing that because it seems like Sukuna is going to play a huge part with all this stuff, right? We know, like the person you said, I never pronounce his name, but isn't it Kenjaku? Kenjaku, right? I always mess it up. Yeah. But like we know the whole thing with Kenjaku, and it seems like he had a relationship with Sukuna 1,000 years ago. So that whole thing is going on. It's just Sukuna, and even the Sukuna and Megumi thing. That's why, like, one thing that I like.
That's gonna be so
yeah.
fire.
One thing that I feel like he's been building up for a while. So once it happens, it's gonna go crazy. Like I'm not even a huge Megumi fan. It's not that I don't like him. It's just like there are other characters I like more. But it's very clear to me that the author has always looked at Megumi and been like, this is that guy. He'll hype up other people, but he'll remind you that this is that guy. Down for when Sukuna episode 2 or 3 was like, Sukuna has a fascination with him. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So like
he's always been portrayed to be really, really like high potential.
Exactly. And it's like, and you look at that, right? Sukuna's a top tier, right? Okay, that's just one person. Look, bro, one of my goats is Toji. We see what Toji, Toji's the epitome of Black Air Force energy. We saw what he did to young Gojo. Like he's kind of that guy. And that's his pops. You know what I'm saying? He's crazy like that. And then we look at the god of the verse, which is, I mean, I don't think people can argue this. It's Satoru Gojo. And Gojo himself is like, bro, you're going to be better than me. Like, look at the
facts, bro.
Yeah.
Master your technique. You will be able to beat me.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yo.
Like, gee,
that's fire.
When you see stuff like that, it just makes you look at Megumi and it's like, this kid is ready. He's probably going to be top 1. Like, he's just going to be insane. And
I'm excited to see him stand, if not at the top, near the top.
He's gonna be at the top. That's what I'm saying. And talking about Kenjaku real quick. I like how you talked about him potentially being like, I'm not gonna say an Aizen type character. I feel like like some shonen, like for instance Naruto, Bleach, have that one enemy that I want to say transcends their community. Like when someone says pain, everyone knows who pain is. Everyone knows Aizen. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I think there's a chance that Kenjaku can be that, because you look at what you look at Kenjaku, everything he stood for. Then you look at his connection with, obviously his connection with Sukuna, possibly even his connection with Gojo, because obviously he like is in the body of Gojo, one of pretty much I'd say Gojo's best friend. So they have that whole thing going on there. It's just a lot of stuff, and obviously it seems like Kenjaku is basically, I want to say pulling. I'm not gonna say he's literally pulling the strings for this whole Culling game thing. Like he's the guy that started this. Like
he's the puppet master.
He's the puppet master. Yeah.
I think goes kind of under the radar is like in most shonen or seinen arcs for that matter, like you'll see that an arc will have one main antagonist. Right?
Yeah.
They'll have one main threat that everybody can focus their attention towards. But I love the fact that in the Culling games there are at least two like main ones. You have Kenjaku and you have Sukuna, both of which aren't working together, right? We don't know what their plans are. Like, at least know based on Sukuna that they are literally working together, like they're working towards the same goal, right?
Yeah.
Based on Sukuna's attitude and things like that, I can assume they aren't. So the fact that we have two basically unknown characters that have been built up for about, I don't know, 160 chapters.
Yeah, minimum.
And they can both pop off at any moment. I am so excited to see. Dude, when Sukuna, because the one thing we haven't seen is Sukuna still has the binding vow where if he says in chain, he's free in Yuji's body for an entire minute. Right?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that, and I'm so like the chapter that happens is the chapter I'm getting goosebumps. I know it because that is going to be insane. Like there's so, and this is why I feel like I'm willing to be so patient with the Culling games.
Yeah.
There is so built up to that when it finally pops off, I have no doubt in my mind that it's at least going to hit that Shibuya level tier, and if Gege Akutami does it the way that I trust he's going to be able to, it's going to go past it.
Exactly. Like I feel kind of the same way with that. And another thing, this is kind of very close to what we're talking about, the whole Sukuna thing. I mean, I thought you can't talk about JJK without talking about. We talked about Gojo a little bit. We just bring him back real quick. Because Gojo obviously has been sealed for a minute now. I think I'd say an arc or an arc and a half now.
He's been sealed for about 80 chapters. Like give or take, like maybe 70 to 80 chapters.
Yeah.
He's been gone for over like a year in real time.
Yeah, this man.
And he's been sealed for the majority of an arc.
Exactly. So he's been sealed for a minute. Do you think Gojo's coming back? And because the thing is, Gojo pre-sealed, a lot of stuff has changed. I'm saying the Zenin clan's gone. They basically, like, the higher ups basically made it illegal to try to free Gojo. So like when Gojo comes back, never mind, like just imagine that when Gojo comes back, I'm sure he's not going to be happy about the situation. But like it's just
because the thing that gets me is like the last words he says basically are like, I trust you guys or whatever. Yeah. Right. And he's going to see that. No, it depends, right? Because personally, I'm in the camp that I think Nobara's coming back, right? But let's say she doesn't come back, right? Let's say she doesn't. Gojo said he trusted Nobara and Meg. He trusted everybody, right? And when he's coming back, he's going to be coming back to a one-handed Todo, a very seriously changed Yuji, probably a much changed Megumi, Nobara possibly gone, Yuta might be injured to some extent, Maki is a completely different person than what she once was.
Yes.
And she's very reminiscent of Toji. That might in of itself kind of mess with it. There's so much, even if Gojo doesn't freak out, right, at the fact that the higher-ups tried to play all of his allies, and even if he doesn't freak out at the fact that Kenjaku was in Geto's body, there's so much stuff surrounding the Culling games that can light the fuse that is Gojo, because we've seen it, right? We've seen that when Gojo is close to snapping, there's like, Geto was the only person who stopped him, right? In Star Plasma, after Toji, he was like, maybe I should just kill them all. I won't feel anything anyways. Yeah. Like, and can you imagine what an unsealed Gojo with all that pent-up possible
like a prime Gojo? Yeah, like this. Like that's also my
20-finger Sukuna running around. It's just crazy.
It's a lot of powerhouses. They're just like chilling right now. They're not doing nothing. That's the thing with Gojo being unsealed though. Like, because from what I understand, like the way I still see, I just see like I don't know anyone currently that's stronger than Gojo. I don't know what your thoughts on Gojo versus a 20-finger Sukuna, like a toss up. I got Gojo in that encounter. I'm gonna come clean, but like I've heard arguments for the other side.
Here's the only reason I'm not full send Gojo. Right?
Yeah.
Usually it would be he's got the title the strongest, but here's the thing. whenever Sukuna opened his domain to fight against Mahoraga, his domain, because it has no barriers, is said to be like, in comparison to another user painting on a canvas, he paints on air, right?
Yeah.
So basically to say he's on a different level, at least with domain. And I'm worried that if both of them open domain expansion and they clash and Gojo loses, he'll die.
Yeah.
If both of their peak techniques are not equal and Sukuna is actually greater, what else is 20-fingered Sukuna gonna have in his back pocket? Because we don't know his technique yet, right? That can be very scary. All we know is he can slash people up and he can shoot fire. Like, we don't know what else surrounds his technique. And because he didn't explain it versus Jogo, we're in the dark, right? We know, like, based on a lot of things, that there are ways to beat Gojo with techniques or with tools. There are ways to, like, there are ways
to try to nerf him to the point where you can defeat him. Well,
exactly, right? I don't think that. I don't know, man. It's just so much. There's so much going on in my head. So many possibilities that I feel like any route that it goes is probably going to be valid because it's been built up to for a long amount of time.
Exactly.
Like, just so many mysteries, so much stuff has been surrounding this entire arc, and really the entire series has been leading up to this. And I'm just excited. I'm here for it, waiting for the experience, to be honest.
Yeah, and I guess that goes to the other point, like, where people, a lot of JJK fans, let me say not a lot of them, but there's a decent amount of JJK fans that are like anime only, and everyone still knows Gojo is the strongest. So, like, what are your thoughts on like because Gojo's obviously sealed right now. A lot of people think that, like, the reason why he was sealed are, like, not in terms of the lore, but in terms of, like, from a story building aspect. Oh, because, you know, he's the strongest, so, like, you have to get him away from the story type thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're basically, like, if Gojo was in the, because I feel like beforehand it was almost a case of, you can almost argue it was like, the hero's, like, game plan was like, let's stall until Gojo can come save us.
Let's stall until Gojo.
Exactly. Like,
it's a good plan when you have the strongest character in the verse.
Exactly. Yeah. But, like, now that I'm not saying that anyone here is Gojo level. I still don't, especially because Sukuna's not 20 fingered yet. I mean, we know that Kenjaku, basically his plan was literally like and also the reason why I had a Gojo above him was that Kenjaku, I think
he admits he can't beat him.
Yeah, he admits he can't beat Gojo, but he didn't really care if Sukuna got the 20 fingers. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the here nor there. But, like, the whole point is, like, if Gojo pulls up right now, he's negging everyone, right? So, like, that makes me think that makes me wonder on whether Gojo's status, will he ever even come back until, like, the story has been resolved? Because if he comes back, you might argue it might take away some of the tension. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole point of the Culling games is kind of, one of the points is to save Gojo.
Here's what I'm thinking. This is the perfect time, because of the thing, right? Gojo is the strongest, but he's pretty blatantly stated to be the strongest sorcerer alive now, right? That leaves a caveat for sorcerers that should be dead, right? Because we know the golden age of Jujutsu sorcery was supposed to be when like simple domains were created. Like, sorcerers were literally just killing each other, curses were running wild, right? Kenjaku's whole thing is he wants to create like a super being, right? Something beyond his own potential. In order to do so, he has to create like powerful chaos. And that's why he brings back old sorcerers and old cursed spirits. Things like cursed objects and things like that. So in my opinion, I think if Akutami wants to introduce a Gojo level threat now and for it to make sense and not feel like an asshole, the way to do it is by literally tying into the fact Gojo is still the strongest, or was still the strongest alive, because, you know, these sorcerers were quote unquote dead up to this point. But now, still keeping that statement the truth, at least in some extent, right? He brings in stronger characters from the past, and even if Gojo comes back, it's not a wash, right? I think personally, there's going to be some characters that are either able to contest with him, or there are going to be people whose hacks are very powerful, like the Angel's ability to erase curse techniques. That can screw over Gojo. Like, Gojo's still strong without the limitless, but he's not like the GOAT without, you know what I'm saying? That makes him the GOAT. He's just a really strong character, right? If you take away his basically a vulnerability, and you take away the six eyes, he's now just a very strong sorcerer who's pretty much going to be reverted back to, or maybe even less than, his teen days. And if that's the case, even characters, even like Maki level characters, because she's like kind of supposedly relatively.
Yeah, they saying she's toji level.
Would be able to take out Gojo. He would no longer be unbeatable. Now, I'm not saying she in particular is going to do that. I'm not saying the angel is necessarily going to take away Gojo's powers, but the fact that these techniques are even options shows that like Gojo level fighters are not unbeatable even now. Like there are loopholes to beat them. There are technicalities in which you can get him off guard. And if our characters take the Culling games and use it to level up, because we know characters can, like, for example, Megumi unlock the domain expansion at the brink of death. If characters do that over and over the span of the Culling games, who knows how far a character can evolve until they become like that Gojo level. I mean, Gojo himself turned from someone who got bodied by Toji to someone who could beat Toji relatively easily after having a near-death experience.
That's true. I didn't even really think about that. Like I always think of like Gojo as like that guy, but I'm even looking at like you said, but even like you gave an example with Gojo, but even look like Maki too, where Maki went from she was pretty good to we just saw what she just did, like the massacre. So I mean, there was a chance that. But that's why I was thinking where like it depends on when they want to bring out Gojo, but like you said, either they'll make, because we just recently learned about how like there were probably sorcerers that are from a long time ago coming and stuff. So either he might do something like that, or even the current characters just might level up enough until Gojo's still the GOAT, or Gojo's still nice, but he just not multiple levels above everyone else type thing.
Yeah, it just becomes a tough fight rather than like this unbeatable.
This negative, So I mean, that is interesting, honestly. Shout out Todo. I did forget about him too. What is I can't remember what Todo is doing most recently. I remember obviously he did lose his arm.
We don't. I don't think we have much information. We just know like we kind of saw the end of the tail. We know Todo I think was gotten to safety. I think Yuki says that, like his teacher mentions that she got him to safety. But outside of that, we don't know. Like. Man, I'm hoping Todo does not step into the Culling games because I don't want him to die. Like,
bro.
Todo with Boogie Woogie is a problem. He's special grade here. He was able to kind of like scrap with Mahito even after Mahito was evolving in Shibuya, right? He wasn't able to handle domain, but most characters weren't. The only reason Yuji was is because he's immune to it, right? Yeah. So Todo with Boogie Woogie is like a special grade, right?
Yeah, he was tough,
Without it though,
easy.
I'm scared he's gonna get bodied. And I'm gonna say this: Todo is too cool. I'm too invested in his character. He's done too much for Yuji to see him bodied. If I like that, there are certain characters that will like actually like mentally break me if they die, and Todo is one of them.
Yeah.
If Todo were to enter the Culling games, like he's like, I need to go save my brother or something like that. Please don't. Like Agutame, don't do that. Please, I'm begging you. Todo's got to stay alive for my mental health. All right. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I don't think we know exactly where he's at right.
Yeah, because Todo wasn't my top 5, and when he lost his arm, I was like, bro, because he basically, like you say, he lost to the Boogie Woogie ability. It's like that, like obviously that fight with him, and this is OG. Like this is in the anime, so that's so you know it's OG. Well, his fight with him and Yuji, like that I just like the whole concept of his abilities and stuff. But seeing him kind of losing, it's like that was kind of wild. But so yeah, I mean that's kind of the whole thing with that. But so I mean we talked about like Gojo, because we had to bring up Gojo. Another person we probably talked about him as well, but Toji. We know Toji died, he killed himself. Do you think Toji will come back one more time, or you think it's kind of like you think Maki's kind of like replaced it type thing?
So don't quote me on this. Right, yeah. I want to try to find this, and maybe I'll DM it to you after, so you can like put it like up in the visuals. But I'm pretty sure, like I'm sure that Akutami was asked in an interview, like, how is Megumi gonna figure out Toji was there? And I'm like I said, 60 to 70% sure it was said that Toji himself will tell Megumi. Ooh. Now that's wild. I don't know. I want to try to like confirm that. If I don't end up sending you anything, that means I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But I am pretty sure, like I saw that as I was like skimming through the interviews on one day, right? And if that's the case, that is basically confirming we'll see him one more time. In what capacity, I have no idea.
Yeah, it could be like some Forest Ghost type thing.
Because it could be Ghost type thing. There's a lot of different ways it's kind of interpreted. If not, I'm fine with the way Toji went out, honestly, because in both instances, it meant a lot for not only the characters that he was talking to, but his own character moments. And he's also, like, even with, like, I mean, honestly, is he even in the chapter? He's probably, like, in the series for, like, 15 chapters
Yeah.
max. Like in terms of total.
Yeah, I don't even
time.
think that.
He's still
yeah.
one of the greatest. He's still one of the greatest. He's
Yes,
still one of the
yeah.
coolest. He still has some of the coolest like things done. Just fire. Like
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is about him. I mean, I like it because he's very Black Air Force energy and stuff. I mean, down from he's like one of the. I think I'd say he's the only person who's like hurt, and he almost damn near killed Gojo. So like, and I don't care. I don't care if it was baby Gojo. We saw the flashback. He was murking people too. So it don't really matter what Gojo you knock off. But yeah, just Toji, he's just kind of that guy. But I do want to touch on some of the new, some of the characters that were introduced in the Culling games because we know, I'm pretty sure wasn't Hakari is one of the people I want to bring up, but wasn't he one of the people that Gojo talked about when he was talking about those people will surpass him? I remember it was Yuta. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right. So like we know, like I think that was a good moment when Gojo got sealed because he kind of like he basically told us that he look out for these people, right? Which is I think it was obviously I don't know what's it called. I don't know the whole list, but I know it's like Megumi, Yuta, Hakari, and there's like one or two more people. But like,
so he mentioned Yuji and Todo were also part of that like group that he.
Oh,
said
Todo.
would
Okay, yeah,
surpass him
okay,
one day.
yeah.
The
I
only
figured.
problem
Yeah,
is Toto's been kind of negated a little bit because of the loss of his technique.
yeah, bro got nerfed.
But I think Hakari's gonna be cool. I am waiting a lot to see like kind of how he talks about like fever in the Culling games because that was an interesting like kind of like quirk in his character. I'm also interested in seeing an explanation on his curse technique, and I just want to see him fight all out because we've seen him just like beat up Yuji, but like that wasn't a real fight. Yuji
didn't fight back. Yeah,
Hakari obviously wasn't trying his hardest. He was just throwing like these poor form haymakers at him. Right? they clearly weren't trying to like kill each other.
Yeah.
In any fashion. So I'm trying to see what a real Hakari fight looks like because he also said he'll go after the stronger sorcerer.
Yeah.
Because he's the strongest out of them. So he's confident in his strength, right? He's very, very confident in his strength. And I want to see where that confidence comes from.
Exactly. And obviously he has the Gojo seal of approval, so we know he's like, you know what I'm saying? Gojo's seeing something in you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's like one of the characters I'm actually really interested in seeing. Especially, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's like, I mean, from what we've seen, besides like the little use of, besides like the little things we've seen, like his physical strength is very, I'm not gonna say Yuji-like, but I kind of got that vibe where, yeah, where like, Yuji, like early on, everyone was like, this guy, Yuji, is he human? And they still do it. Like, I think Hakari even said it like, no, it wasn't Hakari. It was when Yuji jumped into the Culling games barriers. Someone was like, a normal person would have died. Yeah. Like, I feel like Hakari gives me that kind of vibe, even like a Toji, but Hakari as well, where it's like, they look at Hakari and they're like, this guy's, physical strength is crazy. So I'm curious to see how powerful or what he can really, really do type thing.
I love the way they gas you. Side tangent.
Yes.
I love the way they gas Yuji's physical abilities. Whenever like a normal character's like, dude, what? Like,
yeah,
he just jumped through a building and threw me through it. Like, bro, his physical strength is insane. Like,
like it's funny because like when I say they do it like so consistent, it's just funny. Like they never miss an opportunity to do it. Like, yeah, it's just every
time Yuji does something, it's like, oh my god, he's so fast.
Yeah, I feel like
I just love. I just
like, bro,
like I'll be like, bro, you will acknowledge the fact that Yuki out here being real strong, right?
Yeah,
and I love it, and I just love, and it makes other characters that like scale around him very impressive too, right?
Exactly. When you have people like
we've seen, Yuji's durable, right? And Hakari with like a couple of punches bloodied him up. Like obviously Yuji wasn't like beaten down or anything, but he wasn't unscathed.
Yeah,
right?
now his nose, like blood was flying through his nose. Yeah, wait, what'd you say?
I was just saying, we've seen Yuji like in the most recent chapters get slammed through buildings and take less damage than he did versus Hakari's like 2 or 3 punches.
Exactly.
So Hakari's nothing to like nobody to sneeze at, and that's just his physical strength. I can only imagine what his technique and like burst energy and do for him.
Yeah. So I guess I'd say that like who are you most looking? Who of the new characters in the Culling games we've been introduced are you most looking forward to?
So I'm actually not gonna say Hakari for this, and I'm gonna say I feel like I'm butchering his name, but it's like Hiragama. I feel like I'm messing it up for some reason. But it's the judge guy.
From I forgot what chapter that was.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Wait.
I don't know why.
It wasn't he. Okay, was that the guy that was talking to Toji, or am I tripping? I feel like they looked similar.
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. No. They do kind of have a similar kind of look, but no. That guy is like a mercenary. He knew Toji. He was like in the Jujutsu Kaisen kind of like a world a little more intertwined. This guy was basically a civilian before everything happened. I'm interested in him because his chapter to me was a 10 out of 10 on basically everything. I love the way like his whole backstory, like and everything, how it kind of revolves around like the themes of Jujutsu Kaisen in general. I'm excited to see him put into action. Out of all the new characters, I think he's probably the one I'm looking forward to seeing the most. I want to see him pop up because I feel like this could be the Mahito for Megumi in the sense that this is the perfect parallel. Like the perfect villain. Yep.
Nah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, just looking at like, because we did talk about how Megumi is basically like Yuji gets talked about his physical strength and stuff, but I feel like high key Megumi gets hyped more than Yuji, which is kind of crazy. But Megumi as of right now doesn't have like you said, a parallel because Yuji has had Mahito for a while, and they've even had they've had multiple encounters. How many fights do they have? Maybe 3, at least 2.
They have 2. So it's really like one is a relatively short fight. Like I think it takes place over like 4 chapters, and the other takes place over like 10 or 15 chapters. So it's really one fight, but it's just like. So it's kind of broken up to rounds. So you have the one where Nanami joins in.
Yeah,
you have
that
the
one.
Shibuya one. Yuji wins round 1. Mahito wins round 2. Then, like kind of Nobara steps in. Obviously, what happens to her happens.
Yeah.
And then Yuji gets demoralized and gets bodied. Then Todo comes in, and the fight kind of continues. So you can break it up into 3 fights if you want, but it's really just one. They just won a very long fight.
Yeah. So like, but their dynamic is really good. I mean, I feel like I don't hear a lot about Mahito, but like the way like his like you obviously him being a parallel to Yuji is really well. It's just done really well. So I'm interested in seeing, like you said, if that guy, if I actually forgot his name, but if he can be like a parallel to Megumi as well, because I feel like obviously Yuji's the MC and stuff, but at times I'm gonna be honest, like we were talking about this earlier, I'm gonna be honest, it'd be looking like Megumi's the MC. So it's just. I don't really know.
He does definitely give off some of that energy. Like, he's obviously not. He doesn't have that amount of screen time, but he does give off some of that. Like, I'm very competent with what I'm doing. Me and Yuji are relatively similar in terms of our importance to the narrative.
Exactly.
And I feel like the hype he's getting is also just. I mean, great. I'm ready to see if he gets. Here's the thing: if Megumi gets a Mahito level, like kind of antagonist for him, gonna be over in terms of his growth. And in terms of just his character, I think.
Yeah, like I think he's already pretty popular, but he'll probably rise. Like he might be top 1 at that. Oh, I feel like a lot of people love Gojo, but like he might be like basically his character will get more characterized. I probably shouldn't say it like that, but like basically.
Yeah, I get what you mean. He's just primed with a good villain. He's primed to basically be great, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, that's. Is there anything we're missing with the Culling games? Like anything really pressing that we gotta touch upon? I was just trying to like get all the haymakers out the way.
I mean, honestly, not really. I think we've covered kind of our predictions, our thoughts on the criticisms of the Culling games, our favorite characters, what we want to see, things like that. Yeah. Personally, I think I've gotten out most of what I need to say about the Culling games, and I genuinely did enjoy having the discussion with you about it and everything surrounding it.
Yeah, anytime, bro. Like this was definitely fun to have. Like this was definitely a fun conversation. So I mean, is there any videos you're trying to put out recently, or anything you want to plug besides like obviously your channel? Like any projects you got working on?
So one project, it's not necessarily one video, but it's more of a series. I'm basically doing like kind of like a Jujutsu Kaisen explain thing.
Oh yeah. I see that.
And everything about the series is what I'm gonna be like. Anything from like cursed energy to a specific cursed tool. Like, hey, you want to know what Toji's specific curse tool is that doesn't even really have like a lot of exposition on it?
Yeah,
I got you. I'm just doing that type of thing. Kind of like, have you seen Suikage's videos on it for Naruto? Just apply that to Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I actually remember when you posted that, because I was like, that's gas, because like I don't watch a lot of anime content anymore because I make anime content. I feel like when I watch anime content, I get burned out a little bit.
Weird.
I feel like I'm not the only one. It's just super weird. But one of the few anime like channels that I like, whenever they drop a video, I'm on that instantly. Is like Swag Kage. I know a lot about Naruto, and I'm still watching they have a lot of versus battles and stuff, but like that whole like there was a time when he still has it, but like there was a time when he was dropping like Sharingan explained, the main Q Sharingan, and that was just so gas. And I'm not as well versed as JJK as I am in Naruto, so I am waiting for them videos to drop, dude, because I will check them out. Like that is kind of gas.
Yep. By the time this video drops, at least one should be out.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's gonna be kind of like talking about cursed energy, but after that, everything's fair game. Whatever seems to get a lot of popularity or whatever people want to see, I'm just gonna make a video on, and it's gonna be like a weekly series. Every Sunday, boom, new Jujutsu Kaisen explained video. So that's the plan.
Bet. But yeah, thanks for coming on, bro. This was a really great conversation. Obviously, if y'all haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to Broken Ronin channel. Like, you just seen you got the JJK explain videos coming out mad soon. If you want JJK content, and overall, I've seen the boards of content too as well. If you want like overall anime content, check out his channel. But yeah, so thanks y'all for watching. But we're out, so peace.